This is LaSalle Legends. And look at this play. Philly special! Why not? Philly! Here's Waller. Waller goes behind his back. LaSalle with two. At the horn. Hits it! Ball game.
Unbelievable!
Shot from an off angle, they score! Daniel Sambuco with 28 seconds left. 4-3, and then LaSalle with 28 seconds left. They get one more! They score again! And they lead 5-4. Here's Kiska on the drive. Timby, an open three. Good! Jake Timby does it again!
Hello again, everybody. Welcome into this edition of LaSalle Legends, where we gather some of the greatest teams in Explorer history and relive their finest hour. Today, it's the 2012 State Champion Baseball team, led by head coach Joe Parisi and a cavalcade of his students and his student athletes, all here to discuss what was an unbelievable run and the school's first ever baseball state championship. Let's start with the head coach, Joe Parisi. Welcome. Thanks for being here tonight, for getting all of your folks on board, and this should be a great experience. What stands out the most when you think back to that 2012 team?
Well, I think back to early in the season when we were just feeling each other out. We had pretty high expectations, but I guess probably I might have been a little bit hard on the guys early. And I remember Mike Piscopo coming up to me and saying, "Coach, relax. We're good. We got this." And, I think that carried through the whole season. It's one of the few times in my coaching career that I took advice from one of my players. But it came from Mike, and it was well timed and kind of put me at ease too. Not only I think and allowed me to put them at ease.
Yeah, I think we might have put you under some unnecessary stress there, Coach. But
yeah, a little bit here and there, Mike. A little bit here and there. But that's what happens when you coach. I mean, you have to deal with that. It's when you have 20, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds. The only thing that's consistent about the way they act is how inconsistent they are. So, that's where we were.
With all that being said, Coach, a whole bunch of talent on this team. A ton of guys that went and played the next level. I think you'll know those statistics a little bit better than I do. But a senior-driven team with some also junior and sophomore and freshman contributors, some of which join us here today. What was particularly special, Coach, about this group and how it was really made up from a veteran leadership standpoint?
Well, I think you said, you went through freshmen, sophomore, juniors, and seniors, but we didn't have freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors on the team. We had players. Everybody, treated everybody equally, which means that they busted each other's chops a lot, but they also supported them a lot from top to bottom. You weren't a freshman on the team. I think, you weren't a sophomore. You were a player, and that speaks volumes about the senior leadership on the team.
Who we have here tonight, going from my top left to right on this video conference. Kevin Long, senior pitcher, pitched the state championship game. We'll see a lot of him. Jimmy Herron is with us here as well, part of the Cubs minor league system, a freshman on the team, and certainly was involved in the key moment in the game as well. Corey Bayada is with us, senior catcher, and the PCL Player of the Year that year, and had a great state championship game as well. We mentioned head coach Joe Parisi. Max Breitmeyer is here. Dom Crucci is here, shortstop. Ryan Otis played center field. Mike Piscopo, third baseman. John Sheffy, relief pitcher. PJ Acierno, he started in left field. Mike O'Connor, assistant coach, welcome. Christian Bruno, catcher, and Brad Schneider, utility man. And Connor, I have your name here, but don't have your last name. So if you could introduce yourself, you get an opportunity to do that.
You got it. Connor McHugh, manager. on that team.
Awesome.
So no, nothing else.
Well, welcome. I'm glad we have everybody here tonight. And without further ado, we're going to take a walk down memory lane as a group and as a LaSalle community. Watch this game one more time together, possibly for the first time, I'd have to think. I don't know if we've ever gotten you guys together to watch this after the day that you took care of business up there in State College. You took on Council Rock South, the Golden Hawks, led by a big-time pitching duo, and we'll see both of those guys head out there on the mound, but a great matchup on the LaSalle side here as well. So let's get right to it. First pitch is next here on LaSalle Legends.
The 2012 PIAA Class 4A Baseball Championship. Today's matchup features the LaSalle College Explorers, 23-3 on the year.
I don't know, it bothers me when they call us LaSalle College Explorers.
Where'd that come from? Because
It's
that's across all sports.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the PIAA thing. They don't say high school at the end because it's kind of understood. That's what I was told.
We take a look at this lineup here, guys, and when I was watching this through, cutting this video up, just the brawn and power and just consistent offensive attack in this lineup. I mean, you guys know it, you lived it, but wearing down opposing pitchers all year long, that's the sense I got.
You know, it reminds me of a team that if we went back to the late 1980s, 1988 team that won the Catholic League Championship was #1 ranked team in southeastern Pennsylvania. It ended up with 7 Division I players on it. When people ask me the 2 best teams that I coached or who the best team that I coached is, it's between the 2. And, this team reminds me a lot of that 88 team, which incidentally had 2 professional players on it.
Yeah, Dom hit 8th. Like what?
Yeah, I was a little surprised looking at the batting averages that are, I knew you guys could hit, but those are pretty darn good averages.
Yeah, C Pine hit 432 and hits.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Who let me have a bat?
3-4, yeah.
It was the wrong decision. We'll find that out later.
Yeah, I think there's a situation or 2 in the game where I wondered the same thing.
I think Piscopo wondered more than anybody.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
We all know. I was looking at left center. I was thinking about a double.
The only problem is you're probably still thinking about a double. I can't tell you what I was thinking, Kev.
Oh, no. As soon as that happened, I was like, well, this just can't lose the game. I'll never be able to live with myself.
Well, we'll talk about it more when it comes up.
I was going to say, are you guys not professionals at this? This is wonderful foreshadowing here. Tell me a little bit about Brett DiStefano, though, the starter for Council Rock South.
I gotta be up front with you. I don't even know. Oak, you can tell me. Did we send anybody to scout them?
No, we did not. No,
I was gonna say, we just kind of showed up, I feel like.
We had nothing on these guys. It wasn't until 2 years later that we actually scouted Conestoga. But, no, we had nothing on Council Rock South.
Yeah, I think the main reason was, this was all new to us. It's our first year in the PIAA. My whole philosophy, and I think I probably told you guys once or twice, why would we be concerned about the other team? The only thing we have to be concerned about is ourselves. And I was more worried about how we were going to perform than, what they might have. And I think that's why we didn't do a whole lot of scouting there. But, after going through it that first year, I did realize the value of it in 2014, and we did a nice job of scouting the teams we played there.
Yeah, and Coach, the context of the game, right? Like we lost in the PCL championship, and then from that point on, the team was just kind of possessed. And I at least felt like it didn't matter who they were going to put in front of us. He could have been throwing 100. Like the whole team was just possessed and wasn't going to lose the game.
Yeah, you know what? I'll give you a perfect example of how I felt the same way. One of our coaches, if you guys remember the ride up to Penn State, and we had secured a practice field before we went to the hotel.
Thanks to Job Show.
And you guys were relatively loose during that practice, to say the least. And one of the assistant coaches kind of gave me a hard time about, are you going to let these guys act that way? Or, the state championship game some more. They got to get more of a sense of purpose. And I looked at him and I said, I think they already have that. I think they're nice and loose, and let's keep them that way. Whatever we do here is not going to make that big of a difference. We've been out for 100 some days already. One day and an hour and a half practice is not going to make that much difference. Let them relax and let them enjoy themselves. And Mike, I think that kind of illustrates exactly what you're talking about. After we lost the Catholic League championship game, it was kind of, let's just, you guys were possessed. You were team possessed.
PJ Cyrano up to bat right now. Seeing a lefty coming with this type of delivery, what type of challenge does that?
Yeah, he was pretty crafty. He hit the ball pretty well. We'd seen pitchers like it. So, just kind of tried to battle, see if we could get something going here.
Were you guys at all surprised by the decision making? They had another option that they could have gone with to start this game. They kind of had a 1-2 punch and decided to go with DeStefano on extended rest.
Well, when I saw after I hit off Donnelly, was the other kid that came in, right?
That's right, Brian Donnelly.
When I hit off of him, I came back to the dugout. I was like, I don't know why this kid didn't start. Like, this kid would have given us a tougher time than DeStefano. Because DeStefano is really similar to a lot of, I feel like, the guys in our league, like Gorman, especially the guy that beat us in the Catholic League, like a ton of lefties that were just like crafty. So we were kind of used to it. Instead, Donnelly was like a lot harder a lot more velocity than we were used to.
Yeah, I remember Donnelly coming in, and I think it was the first guy he faced. And I don't know if it was just because DeStefano really didn't throw too hard and he was kind of trying to work the corners. But I remember he threw me a fastball, and I kind of just looked down. I was like, I'm just not ready for that.
Well, you wonder if maybe they thought we were going to be really jumpy and nervous, and they just thought if they could have somebody come out and throw strikes, we'd get ourselves out.
Mike, I think that's a great point. And I'm going to tell you, this is something that years later I found out is I don't know that they took us as seriously as they should have. I know somebody who works at Council Rock South, and he was told by a member of the coaching staff there that if we played the way we did against Hatboro Horsham, they could easily 10-run rule us. That was part of the attitude going into that game. So I don't think they took us as seriously as they should have. And I think it was natural going into, as we entered the PIAA, all I kept hearing from Suburban 1, people was, Catholic League's nothing. Catholic League's nothing. I think you guys went out and proved a little bit differently, and I know they take us much more seriously now.
If they had looked at Malolo's stat line, I don't think they would have taken us that seriously.
Yeah.
Interesting to hear that comparison to Hatboro Horsham. Obviously, that was an unbelievable semifinal game. 7-5, back and forth, late bases loaded situation in the 6th inning that you guys got out of. I'll editorialize here, but I saw that Hatboro Horsham team as more talented than this Council Rock South team that I saw. Both very deserving teams, deserve to advance deep in the state tournament, but to me, that game had more nervy moments than this one even.
I thought that Central Dauphin game was the game that was the crazy, just like, I mean, they might not be the best game, but that was the game. After we won that game, I was like, how are we going to lose now? Like, that was back and forth, like run for run, just like Beato was like sick and like trying to get dressed in the dugout or something. And someone got hit by a line drive. Like, it was just a crazy game.
Yeah, Dom got hit by the line drive. Here, Mike Piscopo. let me ask you this question. What were you thinking when you had to go out and pitch? I mean,
I pitched.
You were well rested. I know that.
Yeah, I certainly wasn't expecting to go in there.
I remember
The second that I remember not playing really in an inning all year after the ankle injury and hearing my name get called to lay down that bunt. That was pretty nerve-wracking as well, but was able to do the job there, so was happy to get it done.
Uh-huh.
I had to. I think I came in the pitch, and then I ended up taking a hit. It was my first at bat all year, and I struck out looking on a curveball because I had seen a curveball all year, and I thought this was gonna drive me into the wall. I've never been more scared of someone than Pitt after I struck out looking.
Sophomore jitters, huh?
I guess.
So, Mike, what were you thinking?
Honestly, Coach, I don't remember. I really don't. Nerves.
You didn't have much time to think about it, right? Because I think you were totally
exactly.
shocked.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, counterpoint, Joe Parisi. What were you thinking?
You know what? As Mike said, I don't remember. I just needed somebody to get somebody out. And I looked down at Mike. I think I went out to talk to John, and I asked Mike if he could throw, and he said absolutely. And that's half the battle. When I looked at his face, I said, well, you know, what do we have to lose here? Let him go in. He throws the ball hard. Maybe we can get the guy out.
And for our viewers out there, we're talking about the quarterfinal game now between LaSalle and Central Dauphin, where, you know, basically everything that could be thrown at this team was, and they responded in a big way. One thing I don't think we talked about was a 3-run bases clearing double by Chris Melillo to put LaSalle up for good and win that game 7-6. And we're not having this meeting right here if that didn't happen.
That's true. As long as we don't discuss me getting picked off third base to end the inning immediately.
Where's Marcus at?
Yeah, Marcus scored that game-winning run.
A sack fly, I think, right, Otis?
Yes.
Yeah,
fly, that's correct.
They had 5 infielders on the. I was like, oh god.
Yeah. Let's put that into perspective. You know, let's put it in perspective. First of all, Kevin couldn't pitch because he had pitched previous, I think. And Dom was pitching. He took the line drive off his foot, where he didn't want to go to the hospital because X-rays cost too much.
Yeah.
I think that was the quote.
Yep.
But he couldn't continue. John, you went in, right? John Sheffy went in.
Yep.
And then, again, just to kind of try to put out a fire, you know, I went out and Mike, that's when you did get into the game. So for the people that are going to be watching this or are watching it, that was a sequence of events. At the same time, you know, we're without our starting catcher, Corey, who got sick. And I think one of the things that really needs to be brought up here is what a great job Christian did in his place. I mean, Christian handled the pitchers well. You know, guys didn't run on him, blocked every ball in the dirt, did everything that we asked the guys to do. He's a guy that bought in from the beginning of the year. He knew with Corey in front of him, he wasn't going to get a whole lot of playing time, but he still came every day and worked hard and contributed wherever he could. And I think that was kind of like a theme for the whole team.
Nothing like motivation than having MVP of the league in front of you.
Yeah. So that's what's got us to the game we're watching right now.
But I remember warming up Mike in the bullpen before he went in, and the one thing he said to me was, he's like, I don't really care. As long as I do my best, I'm just going to throw the ball really hard, and we're going to do just fine. That was the one thing he said to me in the bullpen.
And that's what happened. Yep.
Coach, it reminded me a lot when we were watching that Eagles Super Bowl run. That reminded me a lot of our run. It took so many people contributing and so many little things to go right for that great accomplishment.
Absolutely.
Yep.
I had 3 sack bunts.
In that game?
Bunts. No, across playoffs in general.
Okay.
And didn't Jimmy in the Central Dauphin game come in and
Pinch runner.
Yeah.
I think I played.
Literally every single person played in that game almost.
Jim, did you?
No, Jimmy usually started in the left when I pitched because PJ played short.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. But didn't Jimmy, you had a big hit or something, right? I remember
I had one single up the middle.
Yeah, to keep the inning going in the last inning.
So back to this one here, guys. This obviously a nervy first inning developing here. Part of this lineup, 3-hole guy, which is the pitcher DeStefano. Now you got 2 men on with 1 out.
I looked at that pitch, Kev. I thought that might be one you would want back. It looked like
Yeah, I hung that one a little bit, and I wasn't feeling great at this moment. Just hadn't seen these guys at all. Thought maybe we were a little overmatched. Maybe I was tired from Monday. Wasn't really sure what to expect at this point. So this was a big point in the game here early.
Yeah, getting out of that first inning was huge, especially after what I thought the first few innings, you kind of, after watching it again, I'd forgotten how many guys were on base the first couple innings because I know because you shut people down. You shut that team down pretty much, except for, a walk here and there, and a base hit here and there, But I think at one point you retired 15 out of 16 or something like that, so you did a great job. But getting out of the first inning was huge, absolutely, because I think it pumped everybody up, and I think you kind of relaxed.
Yeah, I think this was probably the most nervous I was at this point in the game here.
Kevin, tell me about this lineup. You're dealing with the heart of it here. You had to go through it 3 times. What were some of the challenges?
Yeah, it was pretty strong top to bottom. Especially their top 5 guys were very strong. I guess top 6, I should even say, really. As you just saw here, I wasn't very happy, as it looks like Mike was as well, with Corey dropping that ball, letting 2 guys in. This was not good, honestly. At this point, I was like, let one guy in. You figure someone's going to get in on a sac fly, but try to limit the damage from there. But really, really strong lineup, and really had to bring my best pitches every single time here. This is a good team.
That was seriously unlike Corey too. I could probably count on one hand the amount of balls and things like that we had during that year.
There was a frog in my mitt. I apologize.
Corey, you know what it looked like to me? Were you looking at the guy on second base to see if you could pick him off? Because it looked like your head was up a little bit towards second base.
Yeah, he was looking at the runner.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Thank you for reminding me.
Yeah, see, bud.
And that was probably the same exact pitch that DeStefano hit a single on. I just got lucky there.
Uh-huh.
The low and away fastball set him up for that, changed his eyes just enough.
These guys had some pretty good bats in their lineup too. When you look at RBI totals and the amount of their averages and the home runs they hit, so they could swing the bats too.
Oof.
This kid was good.
I went to college with the kid batting right now. This game, as you can imagine, came up a couple times in conversation. Kev, thanks for striking him out, 3 times this game?
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, nope.
The funny thing, I played All-Star with this kid after my sophomore year, and I just could not throw a curveball, and he was so frustrated trying to catch me. So I can only imagine what he was thinking.
Yeah,
Kev, do you want to I really want to just kind of touch on this here. What are your feelings about pitching in the state championship game, coming into the program as somebody who really wanted to be a catcher?
In what sense?
How did things change? How did it develop? I mean, at first, did you personally buy in when I talked to you about putting the catcher's gear off to the side and starting to pitch, or did it take a while for you to kind of embrace the idea?
Well, I mean, I was certainly bought into, anything that got me on the field and anything that could help this team out. I mean, you talk about Christian being behind the MVP and Corey Beata, and I was behind Christian. So, just imagine where that puts me. So, I know we tried a couple of different things, like trying me in the outfield or, trying third base, but obviously Mike was there. So, getting a chance to pitch. I remember my sophomore year, you gave me an opportunity to throw a bullpen just to scare some guys. But yeah, I mean, this meant everything to get a chance to pitch in this game and, have a chance to contribute to this incredible team and then work with this group of guys.
When was that decision made, for the benefit of our audience? When was it made, or when, both for Kevin and Coach Parisi, when did you guys recognize, whether it's the, hey, he kind of has a live arm, or, hey, we have a dearth of pitching? What was it that led to this?
It was pretty much what you said about the live arm and the fact that, these guys are very talented class. When they were freshmen, I didn't get a chance to see them a whole lot because they were either playing freshman or JV. So during tryouts, and then once the team was picked early in sophomore year, got a good look at them and, could see the potential in Corey. In fact, Corey, became a starter rather quickly. Saw the ability that Christian had, saw Kevin's live arm and said, hey, we got to try him, as a pitcher, because that is a place in the program where you never have enough good arms.
I will say Coach Costello told me that I'd have the opportunity to pitch as a freshman and never let me step on the mound on the freshman team. So
4 RBIs and a chance to pick one up here. All he wants to do is hit it to the right side. 1-1. So I guess your feeling is liberal scoring that?
I think that as a pitcher, you want that play made. You get a ground ball right side where a guy can reach it.
That's a base hit. That'll get one in. Heading to second base, Piscopo. He'll stop there. Donnelly will.
These guys have heard this enough from me, but if you're going to hear it one more time. If you watch Collins swing, if you watch Mike swing, when they get the base hits that knock in runs, you're going to see that they just kind of put the ball in play, hit it where it was pitched. They weren't trying to jack the ball. They weren't trying to pull everything. That's just a good piece of hitting, on Collins' part. Mike, would you get 2 base hits up the middle? Mike Piscopo? Yeah. And that's basically what it is. The only guy that got a hit that pulled the ball was Dom, hopefully to make up for his
Yeah, we can just skip this part. I'm pretty sure this is just like my fat head. I just saw 6 pitches, didn't even swing, and just walked back to the dugout.
Yeah, this might be like I think a template for like how to have like the worst possible kind of at bat.
Yeah. I mean, it was definitely ball 4, but that's fine.
And guys, I'm gonna have you guys take a peek at your head coach here after the conclusion of this at bat.
Yeah, he like stares into your soul. It's like crazy.
Who's that? Who are you talking about?
No, it's number 6 or something. That guy.
I just wanted to make sure I had your attention.
Yeah.
3-0 though. I mean,
good eye here. It's good eye.
Yeah. I think the pitch that bothered me the most is the 3-1 pitch.
Yeah, the fastball down the middle. I just didn't want to swing at. That was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we were talking a bunch, and I was hoping we could just talk through this part and like skip over it and everything. But
Were you giving him the bunt signal?
I think.
Why would you give him a target, man?
No,
I never understood this.
I remember this because you were mad at me on the 3-1 because I missed the slash sign.
Oh, yeah, you can tell you guys are talking about something.
Yep. Yep, because I'm pretty sure the guy from third was charging really hard, so he wanted me to pull back and just swing right at him, and I just missed that one. And then that's ball 4. I get my 9-iron out to hit that one, but
I think that was a ball down.
thanks. PJ always got my back, man. Thanks. Oh, look at that.
Oh, my God.
That's classic.
Yeah.
Coach, we didn't want to go the other way. It's just we were afraid of getting that look.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Well, then it worked. Kev, it's at-bats like this that make me wonder why you had a bat in your hand, too.
Yeah, that's on you, really.
No question. It's on me for having confidence in you.
That was mistaken. Probably should have gone with the guy who got drafted.
Yeah, Jimmy would have been nice.
Yeah.
He probably wouldn't have grounded into a double play.
On a 1-0 count.
Yeah, so
All I'm thinking here is I can't really say a whole lot to him because I want him to go out and pitch well. I don't want him, being all upset because I yelled at him.
Knowing Kevy was bad enough at himself.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Jimmy, you were a freshman, right?
Yeah.
Jimmy, I know not directly related to this game, but how are things going? I mean, elephant in the room is the fact that all baseball activities at the minor league level are canceled. What's your day-to-day look like now?
Not much. Trying to stay occupied, stay in shape as best I can. They really don't tell us much.
Just growing a beard.
The big leagues need to make a move, and then hopefully we can do something. We probably won't play at any affiliates. We'll maybe do like a instructional kind of league on the minor league fields and at the spring training facilities, but we're really just waiting around to hear something.
Kevin, are you settling in at this point? That was a nice running two-seamer there on the outside corner at the knees. You're starting to, after the first inning, getting through that one unscathed, starting to feel better?
Yeah, starting to feel a little bit better. The nerves are starting to calm down. Just starting to get into a rhythm here. Feeling a little bit better about the way things are going.
People that are watching this, and I know the announcers make a point of it, but I think one of the most impressive things is the pace Kevin works at. There's nothing better, as a coach to see your pitcher working at that kind of pace. The surprising thing for me is that the opponents didn't step out a little bit more on them, to kind of slow them down. And that pace is consistent through the whole game. It even gets a little quicker as we get into the later innings, particularly when he's in that stretch of, I think I said maybe 14 out of 15.
It was a stretch from the 4th to the 7th. He retired 12 straight batters.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watch, when we watched the 7th inning, he was probably working it as fast as then. And I thought that really played to his strength. And the other thing, too, is the 7th inning, we had the 7, 8, 9 hitters coming up. But once we got through the 3rd, he went on a roll of 12 straight that were retired. And that really set the tone, I think, for the back few innings.
Yeah, I think that's
Oak reads that score sheet every night before bed.
I do.
It's one of those things, we're playing against a team that we've never seen before. They've never seen us. You go back to the PCL final. I distinctly remember Newman Goretti taking their sweet time, trying to slow me down, and that's just a difference in, teams knowing who they're playing.
He also called a 3-0 fastball to Josh Ockamy, the runner on first.
Yeah.
Don't get that one.
Was that 2011 though?
He hit a home run both years. I think he had 3 total.
I remember 2012.
Together.
2011 was a 3-1 fastball, and that was off of Nick Burns.
Yep.
Yeah, we had 3 losses this team, and one was to Newman, who was obviously really good, and then the other 2 were to
Lansdale
Holy
Catholic
Ghost
and Holy
Lansdale
Ghost.
Catholic.
Lansdale
Lansdale
Catholic.
Catholic literally did a dog pile on the field after they beat us.
And that was your that was one of those games where, let's just say, the seniors were kind of allowed to not play. It was a non-league game, and I'd like to play the underclassmen in a non-league game. And it appeared as though there were some other activities that went on the night before for that
both games. Yeah, both of those losses.
I think there was a
I think
problem.
that game was played over spring break.
Yeah, it might have been.
For those guys, they had some
Holy
time
Ghost
off.
was prom. That was bad, but
That's the other storyline unfolding in this game is like this was the week of senior week. So a lot of our friends and even some teammates were going back and forth.
Yeah.
Listen,
Wanted to stay loose.
it's totally understandable too. I mean, I was not going to say to you guys, you can't go down at all. We're going to check. I'm going to call. I'm going to double check and, do all that other kind of stuff. And you guys handled it probably about as well as I could have ever expected. And I know guys were, going back and forth, and I know guys, were doing senior week things. But for the most part, I mean, you kind of kept yourselves under control. Everybody got back from the shore. I gave you 2 days, day and a half, 2 days to go down, away from practice. You came back and you came ready to play. And again, that speaks to your desire to win a state championship. Kev, this is what I was talking about earlier about, the first couple innings that you were under a little heat, but I think you handled it pretty well.
Yeah, I may have spoken too soon when I said I settled in.
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. Just one question for the team. Is there anybody cooler than Tyler Kazanowski on a baseball? The way he handles himself. Look at the way he's running in. His throws,
He's like a professional, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he ever worried about anything on the baseball field.
At some point on this broadcast, guys,
yikes,
they make they make a comment about Tyler and his college decision, and he ended up going to Drexel. And there was also one of the players on Council Rock South that ended up going to Drexel. The broadcasters made a comment that, wow, the Drexel Dragons baseball team is developing a lot of homegrown talent. Correct me if I'm wrong. He didn't go for baseball, right?
Drexel doesn't have a baseball
They don't
team.
even have a baseball team.
Right.
At that point, Drexel had dropped baseball.
Okay.
I think probably they may have dropped baseball in like 2008, 2007 in that time period.
Scooting OT.
Ryan, it looked like you were going to run to the right field wall there. As you were almost picking up speed as you went through the base.
Yeah.
Ryan liked to show off his speed.
Yep. That was the only thing I had. So.
Talked earlier about guys that kind of, sacrificed positions that they loved, positions that they excelled at, just to contribute to the team. Look at PJ, who was a heck of a shortstop, who became our left fielder, played some great left field for us, and then whenever Dom was pitching, PJ would come in from left field to play shortstop. We had a bunch of guys like that. Colin Pine was a shortstop traditionally who moved to second base. We had a bunch of guys who moved all over the place just so they could play and be part of the team. And again, that's what it takes to be successful. one of the things that I don't know if you guys are aware of, but in my 27 years of coaching in the Catholic League, you're the only team that I coached that was undefeated in the Catholic League regular season. I've had other teams that, I've had one, I've lost one game or two games, but you were the only ones that went undefeated during the regular season. It was you guys, wasn't it? Or was it the 14 team? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think we lost.
Yeah. So, and all those sacrifices that were made, I think, contribute to that kind of stuff.
Guys, I'm no expert here, but didn't you say that you lost to Lansdale Catholic?
Yeah, but they were.
That was not.
They weren't in the. They weren't in our league. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a non-league game.
What league were they in?
The Bicentennial.
Really? So they just joined the Catholic League?
The
Fact check that
Pioneer
out.
Athletic Conference.
They were a different it was like quad A. Versus,
Yeah. They were like blue and we were red.
Yeah.
Yeah, we played a 2-game series against every team that was in our league. LC, we only got only one crack at them.
Like we had a home and home.
Just made a really
we
good
went
play.
undefeated in the home and homes.
Go ahead there, Mr. Parisi.
I said the shortstop just made a really good play on a tough kind of in-between ball there.
So, Coach, do you think if we had won the PCL championship, we still would have gone on to win the state championship?
I've thought about that a few times. I think up until we really got a chance to experience what it was like to win a state championship, the number one goal has always been to win the PCL. And like getting into the states and trying to win a state championship, it's kind of like secondary. And people in the league say that all the time too, about how the most important thing is to win the Catholic League championship in any sport. But this kind of opened up my eyes to a whole new experience. And, the fact that going in, I was extremely disappointed that we didn't win the Catholic League. And once we won the state championship and I saw how much bigger that was and just the whole scope of things. If you remember correctly, the way it was treated here was so much different than the Catholic League championship. I remember buying the Philadelphia Daily News the next day, opening it up to the center section, and the whole center section, the whole center pages, both pages were photos from our state championship game. Getting, articles written, TV coverage. The state championship stuff kind of paled in comparison to the Catholic League. And to me, it opened up my eyes, and the state championships became as big a deal, if not a little bigger deal, than the Catholic League, trying to win the Catholic League championship.
Yeah, going into the season, I don't think any of the seniors' goal was to win the state championship. We were all focused on the PCL, and then when we fell short of that goal, I think we just needed to refocus on something. And I think I remember we had a giant whiteboard in the dugout, and we just wrote, maybe it was 5 or something, like it was
5 more games, yeah.
5 more games left. And so we just need to refocus on something because really the team was so dead set on winning the PCL. When we didn't do that, I think we could have just said, oh, we didn't reach our goal and we failed, but we just didn't take any time to think about it and just refocused on whatever the next thing was. And you're right, when we did wind up winning it, you realized how special it was.
Kev, talk about the home plate umpire. Kev, what you saw. I thought he was fairly consistent, but I thought the plate was a little wide on both sides, and
Oh, good move.
Yeah, I'm not sure I can remember exactly, but I think that in general he was pretty generous. I felt that on the mound and at the plate he was generous towards the pitcher, which ultimately I preferred.
Mm-hmm. A lot different than the guy that did the Hatboro Horsham game. Where you couldn't work quickly because I think like 16 people total walked in that game for both teams because I had such a small strike zone.
Yeah, that was difficult, and it forced me to pull out my changeup a few times, and then I remember Casey Severio punishing one into right center with that 3-run double.
Good one. Oh, hold the ball.
Corey could not have thrown that any better.
and Colin's
Well, it's
not even
interesting,
here.
guys, to watch this inning. This is the last inning where Kevin has any trouble and any base runners. Looking back on it, that this would be the final inning of Kevin's work where he'd have any type of hot water to pitch out of. Because after this, it was smooth sailing for the next 12 guys.
Thanks, Oak.
You're welcome.
I'll interject. I do think there's going to be something in the fourth inning.
Yeah, isn't there going to be a guy on third with nobody out that scores? And then after that, it's shut down. So,
But we'll let the LaSalle community experience it with us here. You were talking, Kevin, about that Happer Horsham game as well as you, Coach Parisi. To Kevin specifically, I mean, those were some of your boys growing up. I mean, you played baseball in the Horsham Little League and travel system for a long time. What was that game like in your shoes? A guy that, in theory, could have gone to Happer Horsham and going through that lineup 1-9.
Yeah, I mean, that was special to play against those guys. I never thought, I'd get a chance to play against those guys. I grew up playing in Little League, and that was a really neat experience, and obviously part of this journey to the state championship. And even in the sixth inning, I remember a big at bat with one of my closest friends that I played all the way up through Little League, Grant Obliski. We had bases loaded, 2 outs. He had a little blooper to center field. Otis and Pine almost collided, but I think Otis made that catch, which, I mean, that really would have turned the game. We might not be sitting here if that ball falls in.
one of the other things that kind of gets forgotten and maybe a little bit unnoticed is you guys know, you remember how hard we worked every day in practice on pickoff plays. Did we pick off 2 or 3 people in that Hatboro Horsham game? I think
we had the timing play going that game.
Yeah, I think we picked off maybe 3, at least 2, maybe 3.
We picked off 2 at second.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Pef trying to get my attention a couple times, and the one time Kev threw a perfect spin move right there. And then I think the next time, as Chris said, we had first and second, and they were so worried about getting back picked at second that we ran the timing play at first, and Corey threw a strike down, back picked him, and got him there.
Mm-hmm. See Kaz there just showing off his arm.
He's got a cannon.
That throw was unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the guys, the announcers enjoyed his arm.
Oh, my God.
I mean, going back to Piscopo pitching earlier, I mean, Kaz was probably one of our best pitchers as a freshman. I mean, he always had a cannon, but I think he got hurt early on in his high school career. I don't remember what happened.
Yeah, he had a shoulder injury.
Franco threw him like 100 innings in a weekend in AAU, and it was never the same after that.
There goes the runner. Hit and run. The runner has to get back. This one will be played by Melillo. And Chris puts it away. Fought it a little bit, but put it away. Well, Scott, a little hit and run action.
A little hit and run from second base. Got to like the aggressiveness of Council Rock. When I talked with Greg Young about his strategy offensively, he said we need 1 run an inning. We will play for 1 run any chance we get.
Here's Dan Callahan. He hit a ground ball to Melillo, the first baseman, who put it away unassisted. And that ended the Council Rock threat in the first. That is troublesome. Is it going to stay fair? It is not.
All right, so another big moment here, guys. 1-0 lead, bottom 3, getting towards halfway home. And another guy in scoring position here, but an opportunity to get out of it unscathed.
You know, going back to that last play, the foul ball that Chris caught, I think you had 3 in this game, Chris, and you got progressively better on each of them. The first one, I thought, you were kind of slipping on ice, the one we just saw there. And then the next one, you're a lot smoother. And then the third one is, totally well done.
Yeah, I don't think I caught a single pop-up all year before the 3 that I got in this game. I think I might have had 1 chance and then dropped it, like, earlier in the year. But got plenty of reps in the state championship game. The way it goes.
He always looks so lost looking up in the clouds.
Chris, how is that possible? You played, what, 30 games that year? That's wild. You didn't have a pop-up all year.
Yeah, well, definitely didn't catch one.
That might say it a little bit better.
I mean, Malillo came in as a catcher too, right?
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy enough.
Oh, that one was nasty, Kev. That was
That was-
nasty.
That might have been your best pitch of the game.
Yeah, I
Certainly
felt
was
good
at
about
point.
that. Save that one for Callahan.
Look a little fired up in the dugout too, Kev.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping to have a little calmer inning, but I'm just excited to be getting out of these jams.
That stadium was amazing.
It's a great atmosphere.
It is an exact replica of PNC Park in Pittsburgh. Down to the distances, of course, the shape is the same, which is a really cool thing. State College Spikes were, I don't believe they are anymore, a Pittsburgh affiliate, single A short season for a very long time.
If you guys want to see Corey's speed, just watch this one here.
Yeah, probably anybody else in the lineup would have ended up on third. Could have taken a chance here, but I was worried about, with nobody out and
Yeesh.
Corey's wheels. That kid might have been able to spin around 3 times and throw to third and still get him out.
Really reached second.
Oh, I forgot about this rule.
Yeah.
The catcher doesn't have to run for themselves.
I thought it was only pitcher.
No, pitcher catcher.
Yeah.
That seems kind of unnecessary, but I guess I don't know.
Catcher's got to get the gear on, It's a speed up rule that slows the game down half the time.
It worked for us in this instance.
Yeah, it's a good move having Corey off the bases and Jimmy on.
That gold looks good, Jimmy. Gold sleeves.
That's pretty good swag for a freshman.
Yeah.
Jimbo.
No pink tape like you, though.
Nah. We all had, a lot of us had pink tape. Paul wore it too, right?
I had some pink tape on there, of course.
We had the pink, Cosby got the pink batting gloves on.
Look at this. Great base running.
I don't know,
aggressive play.
man.
I love it.
I don't know, buddy.
I love it.
It's
I don't
right at you
know.
or behind you. You go.
That was about 1 millimeter behind.
It was at me. They show a replay.
Oh yeah.
But Jim, the only thing about that is,
Yeah.
the worst part about that is if you were out, I'm standing right there.
Yeah, no knuckle pound or anything for a good aggressive.
That's that pro
I will say.
Would
that-
you have been out?
that's a bad
Oh, no,
secondary
you're
lead, though.
That was a great slide.
Smart baseball there, Jimbo. I couldn't agree more, man.
Thanks, Tom.
Yeah, in essence, you made the right play. It was behind you, and if it was anybody else with a little lesser speed, that's probably not the right play.
The announcers are saying that, yeah, he should have gone first. So these guys know what they're talking about.
Let's go to 6 on the field. So Dom Cucci, you say you like the decision. It's coming from a shortstop's vantage point. What are you doing if you're in the position of the opposing shortstop and that play comes to you?
From probably this point in the game, Kev's he's been struggling through, and you can't really tell how he's going to go on. But I mean, hits have been tough to come by on either side at this point. And when guys are getting hits, there's not really a lot of clutch hits with guys in scoring position. So, I mean, I like the move from the shortstop. You want to be aggressive. I mean, just Jimmy was being aggressive. You want to try and match the aggressiveness. You don't want to try and play on a what if scenario. But yeah, I definitely probably would have gone to third. But on a bad throw, I think Coach Parisi would rip my head off. But I like the aggressive play on both ends.
Yeah, I would have yelled at you to get the outlet first.
Yep.
First base all day.
I know I had a couple times where I threw it over to Piss with a guy on second, ground ball to short. Always worked out for us.
It's because you were always such a smart player, PJ.
What's up?
So it's because you were always such a smart player.
Oh, yeah.
Green light, Coach?
Probably gave the old hand flip. Swing away.
Let it rip.
Football.
Want that one back, Piss.
Yeah, I wasn't real happy with that. Little cameo by T-Resh right there.
Hang on, did the announcer just say that Pitt's going to Northeastern to play football?
Yes. Yeah, these are the guys PJ said are announcers and know everything,
Yeah.
That was Otis who said that.
That was me.
All right. Ryan. Okay. Mike, good piece of hitting there.
Thanks, Coach.
Hit the ball right where, hit it where it's pitched, line drive.
I had some makeup done up that day.
What's that?
We had some makeup on that day. Eye black. We used a whole stick, I think.
Yeah, and then after that, the PIAA changed the rule.
Smear rule.
Yeah.
You can't smear your eye black anymore?
Nope.
That's no fun.
Necessary.
Coach Parisi, let's talk small ball here. Moving the guys into scoring position for 8-9 in the lineup.
Well, 8 and 9 are hitting close to 300 and over 300. And Kev's pitching the way he is. That third run is really important. Trying to get that third run and hopefully get a fourth. And you look, the infield's up now. Not a bad position to be in if you're the hitter.
Perfectly set up for a slash.
If I remember correctly, this might be the Dom hits the ball too hard. Gets out to that left fielder fairly quickly.
He was playing pretty far up too.
Yeah, that's why we held,
Yeah, the head coach for Council Rock South actually used to coach me when I was in Little League from 8 to 10. So we were familiar with each other, and I think the announcers actually call it fastball. But I'm pretty sure he threw a 1-0 breaking ball here. I was able just to get enough and stay on it and put it into left field. But it's kind of something that I learned from the PCL championship game, actually. I remember I was up tie game in the 6th with second and third and 1 out. And first base was open, and I eventually worked it to a 3-2 count. And Joey Gorman spun me a 3-2 curveball in the dirt, and I swung at it, not really using my head that, first base was occupied and it was open, and I probably wasn't going to get something to hit. So that was definitely in the back of my mind at this point.
All right, Kev, you know it's coming.
Yeah. I can't even watch.
I don't like watching it either. I don't like the way I react. I hated it.
Oh, man.
Kev, if you're not watching, you want me to explain what happened?
No. I think we'll let everyone view that for themselves and make their own decisions.
Yeah. There might be another shot at me here. Let's see.
This is when the announcer, I think one of the announcers says it's bad base running on Mike Piscopo.
Pisk. What were you thinking there, Pisk?
Let me just go hang out 45 feet.
See if I can swipe home.
Going home.
They do come back and say that it appears as though, the batter might have missed the sign.
Maybe.
Oh,
Thank you, son.
What an AB.
Cover that. And Kevin's like, just get me out of this box now.
This is when I knew that my hitting days were numbered.
Tell you what, though, that thing almost fell fair. At that point behind the base wouldn't have been a foul ball.
Yeah, we would have taken that. As opposed to this. Well, that's not a bad cut. A little late on it, but.
Handed it with his left hand, never even bobbled it.
Long, the number 9 hitter in this order. Full count. LaSalle scratching out runs. In this one, they scored 1 in the second and 2 here in the fourth. Still have a runner in scoring position in Dom Cucci at second base. The RBIs have come from the 6, 7, and 8 hitters as Cucci dives back ahead of the pickoff.
Weird pickoff time.
Yeah.
3-2, 2 outs.
Yeah, I don't get that. It's not like first base was occupied.
Just begging to throw it away and put him on third.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Kev.
Kev. That's a nice pitch.
I looked further outside during the game.
Yeah, you can't.
He believed it too.
Complain about that call the way Dom did his.
Yeah, for sure. I remember that.
Yeah. And I tried to stay away from you there because I didn't want you to know how angry I was about you missing the sign.
Oh, I knew. Don't worry.
When you missed that sign, I'm going to be perfectly blunt with you here. When you missed that sign, the only thought that came to my mind is just keep pitching the way you're pitching. We won't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I honestly just didn't want to ruin anything from that point. Worst case scenario, you let a couple of guys score, all of a sudden, they're up, and that cost us the game. That would have been pretty heartbreaking. Something I probably never would have forgave myself for. So we'll see how this works out here.
Yeah, I think the announcers even say something along the lines is the hope that doesn't come back to, hurt LaSalle later in the game. And I mean, we were all thinking that and hoping it, and obviously it didn't.
Yeah, Coach, I've been on some teams or been involved in some games where the feeling was that we didn't want to lose the game. But at least for me, and I feel like the vibe I got from the team during this game, I feel like that thought never really crossed anybody's mind. I felt like once we were 1 or 2 runs up, we all sort of felt like, all right, we know what we're doing here and we got it under control. And I never had the feeling of like, oh God, I hope that doesn't come back and bite us.
Yeah, and again, that's why I said my first reaction was just keep pitching the way you're pitching. Don't dwell on this. Don't think about it. Unfortunately, my body language and my initial reaction, you guys could read me like a book anyway, so you knew exactly what I was thinking and exactly, how I felt. I couldn't mask that, but it went away fairly quickly, and that's why I stayed away from Kevin and just, the attitude was just continue to pitch, the way you're pitching, and we're going to walk out here with a state championship.
You didn't always try to mask it either. Like, I forget, maybe it was Otis. Somebody missed a sign for bunt, and then so you didn't even try to give it to him again. You just screamed, bunt the ball.
I think the exact thing was bunt the damn ball. And then I think I added, their coach moved the third baseman up because he knows you're supposed to bunt. The third baseman knows you're supposed to bunt. This kid's grandmother knows you're supposed to bunt. Bunt the damn ball. Can't
That
do
kid's
that now.
grandmother
Though.
knew the game.
Yeah, you can't do that now, though.
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh.
That ball could have been hit when we got there and we were taking infield outfield. There's like a gap behind center field, and I was like, I hope I don't get hit a ball. Like I'm not gonna be able to catch a ball. I would have.
It's a little tough to read from the outfield. I'll back Odie on that.
I would have missed that ball 100 times over. I took 2 steps on it. Oh my God.
That's okay, Brian. We did the same thing. But I was a little upset. I won't say upset, but surprised that they came back and ruled that an error. I didn't know with the way the ball was tailing. It looked like it was tailing away from you. I thought probably, like I wouldn't have said a word if they said it was a base hit.
Probably still should have caught it.
Probably still an error.
Yeah.
The cool kid gets a chance to show off his arm again here.
Where?
Just heaves it.
Not that good of a throw.
No, it wasn't a very good throw, but they made a big deal. The announcers made a big deal out of it. Oak, is your mic on?
Yeah, but that's the sound's not coming from me.
That might have been mine. My bad.
I actually think it was Sheffy potentially. Yeah, it's Sheffy. Sheffy, I'm gonna mute you if you don't mind until you need to talk.
Those are words I never thought I'd be hearing. John Sheffy getting muted. The kid didn't say a word for 3 years.
All right, it should be good now. I'm sorry.
Except when he hit the home run in Florida off of Oak.
Yeah, honestly, we don't talk about that enough.
That was definitely
Make
one
sure
of the
you
best
mute
moments
this whole
of the
plot
season.
right here, okay? Do not talk about the homer that Chevy hit off me in Florida. We can just mute.
Is that like 355 down left field line?
Yeah, that was a bomb, Chef.
It was a blast. Absolutely.
It was 280.
280 past the sign.
It was 280 past third base, yeah.
John, I got to tell you, I don't think Oak ever recovered from that as a this pitcher.
Nor should he.
I had to wait for you guys to graduate, so it never came up again.
That trip was a blast. We stayed in like a Disney kids resort.
And the only thing Coach told us was don't leave the resort. And the first night, me, Dom, Piscopo, someone else are like in a cab, like going to get. We're like, we want different food than this. Like, we're leaving the resort.
Is that what you guys were getting at? Is food?
Yeah, just food. I think PJ played Call Me Maybe 1,000 times on that trip.
Well, why wouldn't I?
I mean,
Oh, I forgot about that. That was our song.
And they gave us like cards with like Disney bucks. Like it was like you had meal coupons. But the problem was the places were Disney restaurants. So like a pancake was $21.
yeah.
I distinctly remember in that last inning in the fourth, right after they scored their first run, and I went down 3-0 on that guy, Piscopo just screaming in my ear, like trying to keep me going, trying to get me to throw some strikes after I felt like I was starting to fall apart there. And And I just remember that really helping me, like, get me focused back on that hitter, finishing out that inning.
Yeah, after the triple, that's where the 12 straight started. Who would have thought?
I've mellowed in my age, Kev.
What was that?
I've mellowed in my age.
That's good.
Back to work.
That could have been some underlying anger from getting hung out to dry in the previous inning too.
Could have been.
That doesn't sound like Mike.
Took about 2 hours and 45 minutes or so. So that got everything a little bit behind schedule. Now you're hoping to make some of that time up.
DeStefano now 2-2. Swing and miss, strike out number 4 for DeStefano. He's been effective and still finds himself behind 3-1. He's only allowed 5 hits. PIAA Serrano steps in 0 for 1 with a walk.
Thing just died in the grass.
Yeah, grass ate that up.
Good spot. If you put it to the left, it might have been because he's a lefty, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good push, though.
Cut it off. This is the way we would like all of our lawns to look.
You bet. Chris Melillo now 0 for 2 on the day. Steps in with 2 outs. DeStefano immediately ahead. One and one. LaSalle has scored their runs when they've gotten their leadoff batter on base. The second and the fourth, leadoff batter reached in both of those innings and scored in both of those innings. First and third, they did not, and they did not score.
I can't let it go by, or I'll forget to mention that PIAA Serrano, who just made that last out on that attempted bunt, he has himself a scholarship to LaSalle University to play golf.
Oh boy. And what do you think of golfers?
He's a basketball player, a baseball player, but he's going there to play golf.
Why did that guy react like that when he said you were going to play golf? He's like, oh boy.
Yeah, I don't know. That was a little weird.
Yeah.
Piss going to play football wasn't as shocking. Or as much to talk about.
Yeah, considering Northeastern doesn't even have a football program.
Neither did Drexel with the baseball program. These guys were all over the place.
They like to bring up these defunct college athletic programs.
It's a shame Corey's not here, and I know he was the player of the year. Those stirrups are a tough look.
It's okay. He can watch the recording of this and he'll hear it later.
Good.
The other thing, at the time, I really liked our helmets. I do not like them at all in retrospect.
Yeah, that was one of the first things I thought of when I turned this on. It's like, did we wear those helmets all year?
Yeah, we did.
Should have stayed
and
in
we were
2012.
pumped when we got them.
Yeah.
We had those old, like, Wilson ones that were all cracked on the sides and stuff before that.
They fit so well, though.
They did. Yeah, these ones kind of, like, sat on your head weird.
Yeah, this kid did pitch a pretty good game.
Yeah, how many games do we score 3 or less runs in the whole year? Any?
Not many.
A lot, yeah.
I think LC one hit us.
Yeah, that was a rough
We ran into a
game.
buzzsaw that day.
Yeah.
They one hit a shell of ourselves.
Yeah, that's true.
What was the PCL championship score?
5-4?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah, it was a one-run game.
Yeah.
That year before, the junior year, that was the worst. When we were up, 10-0 or something.
We were gonna
13-3. I remember at one point.
We were about to 10-run them. Josh hits
and then Josh Ock hit that home run. I was like, yeah.
They scored like 15 unanswered, something ridiculous.
Yeah, that dude loved playing against us.
I argued with Peffel in the dugout on that pitch call too.
Oh, he was struck out, and the game was over. If we're talking about the pitch to Akami.
Yeah. He called a fastball, and I got pretty red hot with him. I was like, that was the worst idea ever.
And for our audience, so Josh Akami, right? Newman Goretti was what, a sophomore at the time, and then spent a bunch of years in the Red Sox system?
Yeah, he's still with the Red Sox.
Still there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he could be a good power, really good power for a high school kid.
I think he's in AAA right now. He's still climbing the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a sense here, guys, that this is a big point in the game. You guys had tacked on the 2 runs in the prior inning. Council Rock South got 1 back in the bottom half of that 4th. They take care of you guys offensively in the top of the next inning, and now you really get a sense that it's do or die time for this Council Rock South team. This is the top of their lineup. How's everybody feeling at this moment?
Kev was cruising, so I mean,
we were cruising. I feel like
we're like, let's just keep getting through these innings, keep throwing strikes, pounding it, make them do something special. Right, Oak?
Yep. I know. I was thinking we didn't want to have to go through the heart of the lineup 3 times. If we could do it right, we only go through it twice.
At this point, I'm just thinking you got to get the leadoff guy.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of pressure on Kev here to like you said, get the leadoff guy, but just be able to calm us all down. I mean, I don't think anyone's really nervous or anything, but he's pretty locked in, which makes everyone feel a lot better.
Yeah, Coach Oak, I think this is 3 through the lineup here, and you don't want to go through a 4th time, I guess, right?
Yeah, how's that math work, Coach? It's a 7-inning game.
Oh.
This kid's pretty angry he didn't get hit.
Yeah, what
And he should be angrier now.
Yep.
Hey, Dom, did that pitch look familiar?
Kid should use 9-iron.
Kind of similar, except yours was, I think, a little more outside. His was right on the inside.
Yeah. I think I got a couple inches on him, too. I'm just saying.
So this is the guy who comes in to pitch later? And he was the center,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was good.
I think he topped out probably in the high 80s, and his curveball was like low 60s. It was just this unbelievable difference that was tough to keep up with.
Yeah.
That's the pitch. It's a little harder to hit there. Good spot.
But he has been working fast all day. That one outside, 2-2. Brett DiStefano waiting on deck. Fouled back by Donnelly. Marty Ondrovic hustles out to grab that one.
Marty is not a youngster. And boy, he still moves around and hops off that chair and runs around.
He doesn't still umpire, does he?
He does not.
Pop up right side. Melillo in foul ground.
Smooth.
Out.
A little fake laugh. There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. Kev looks like he was laughing too.
That
Maybe
field
not.
It's so much more foul ground than Ward. That like the first one or two was definitely a little weird. Like balls that normally would go out of play were in play. You know.
Sure.
So it was a little weird, but.
Oh, where was that?
That was a strike. Not as good as the strike 3 called against you, but it was a strike.
Of course. I think you're about to see some miserable footwork here, too, on this ground ball. Yep, nice and flat-footed. Nope, don't work through it. Not a boy.
Bend at the back.
This game has been a pretty good one. Through 5 innings, LaSalle leads it 3-1. We'll be back with inning number 6 right after this.
I can't wait for later when Brad does his dance in the dugout. Maybe he can recreate it here.
I think he logged off when he realized it was coming.
Would have liked some Kaz commentary on this this game.
God.
I know Oak would have liked the same.
Look at how tight that jersey is on his shoulders. I just remember it looked like it was 2 sizes too small on him.
Oh,
Kaz is huge.
Yeah. Because I wore that same jersey a couple years later, and it was small on me, and he's a bigger guy than I am.
Kojanowski, he is a strikeout victim, number 5 of the Stefano.
It appears that both these pitchers are getting stronger.
Yeah, after a shaky 4th. Correction, it is 6 strikeouts.
Were we all swinging the same bat?
Wasn't it that the Easton, right?
Yeah.
I think we had 2 of them.
Yeah.
I know we had the Sea Pine tape job.
Yeah, so I remember I got to college and I picked up a 32-ounce bat. And they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, 32. And they're like, no.
Now 2-0.
Some of the fans now for the A championship are coming into the park. Bishop McCourt and Montgomery in that one.
Getting the impression that the Montgomery fans are going to be a little rowdy. I'm just saying. You got the full
regalia, yeah.
In red. 3-0 to Piscopo. And now the 3-1, or the 3-0 pitch finds the strike zone for a 3-1 count. Foul back, now full count. Stefano just trying to do what he can to keep his team close here.
This kid pitched longer than I remembered him pitching.
Yeah, he doesn't have much more to go. Obviously.
Guys, this is still the early period of LaSalle College High School in the PIAA. It seems like so long ago now, but at this point, 4 or 5 years in the PIAA, was there still a prove-it mentality? Like, hey, we need to show the rest of the state that.
Yeah, I think at one point, Coach made us take it down, but I think it was like me, Mike, and someone else were like hanging up the every week the writers in the Philadelphia Inquirer would release like the Southeastern like top 10 teams, and we were like hanging it up every week and like highlighting the teams that were like ahead of us and stuff like that. coach eventually was like, "You guys got to stop that." But but yeah, there was definitely like I felt like people like did not take us seriously.
And just
Yeah, I
keep in
agree with
mind, too,
that.
Yeah, just keep in mind too. It's our first jaunt into the PIAA playoffs. So, I mean, for baseball anyway. And to Ryan's point, I told him the only time to look at the standings, the rankings, is at the end of the season, and who was the number one ranked team in southeastern Pennsylvania at the end of the season. That's when it means something, and that's when we were ranked number one.
Pitching change.
There was big argument about us and Malvern that year, and I remember we tried to get you to schedule a game after the state championship to play them.
Yeah, I went to college with a kid, Joe Ravert, who was a good player for Malvern, and we always went back and forth. I told him winning the individual state championship was like winning the interact twice, and he got pretty heated about that. It was good, all in good fun though.
Bye, you.
Yeah, so here's that pitching change we talked about. Brian Donnelly, who I think was their number one for most of the year. And the way the tournament shook out, it gave teams the opportunity, if they had thrown somebody in the semis, that they could bring that person back for the final, and they elected not to do that with Donnelly.
Yeah, it's always set up that the semifinals are on a Monday and the finals are on a Friday. For right now, we would be 6A, but back then we were 4A. So the 4A was always set up that way. The 6A is always set up that way, or is set up that way. So it gives you guys 3 days rest.
Yeah, he brought it a little bit.
Now, Kevin had thrown a decent amount of pitches in that semifinal game, and my thinking was fairly simple: let him start, get as much out of him as we possibly can, and then go right to Dom. And he just kept going and going. So we eventually didn't even need to use Dom in that situation. But if Kevin would have gotten in any trouble at all, or his pitch count would have gotten a little bit higher than it actually was, we would have gone to Dom.
You don't see curveballs like that too often in high school.
No.
You're about to see it again. And whiff.
Yeah, I wonder how the game would have shaken out if they had started him from the beginning.
I think we would have fared all right. Just throwing mostly fastballs, a breaking ball you can pick up.
Debatable, Paul.
You think so, Dahmer?
Yeah, would have taken him deep.
Well, I mean, if Kev pitches the way, he pitched in this game, and this kid does, if he is a starter, all you need to do is score 2 runs and you win. We could scratch out 1 or 2 runs.
Yeah, I don't think he would have held us to
no.
No, and you're seeing him now. He's well rested. He's coming in. It's first time seeing him. Is he going to be able to get through the lineup? I mean, that's the, 3 times or 4 times you guys bat against him 3 or 4 times, you're going to get better at bats against them than these guys are getting. Here goes that cool kid again. It's your boy, Kev.
Yeah, this is the guy from All Star. I think guy who went to school with PJ.
Yeah, this is my buddy.
Uh-huh.
He didn't stand a chance all day.
Nice play, Chris.
Was this Malilla's first year playing first base, or had he played it previous to that?
I don't think I played it for like an extended period of time prior to my junior year. I know that I would have Reef stay after practice and like throw me, just like throw balls at me, and I have like Pine throw like basically like scoopers, like basically like, I'd have to like pick the ball because I was so uncomfortable working around the base to start the year. And so by the end, I was pretty comfortable, but it was a journey to say the least. I'm sure for you guys it was too.
No, by the end, you were good.
Ooh. I'm surprised nobody's mentioned it. You can hear our number one fan in the background the whole game. You know,
Chelsea.
You're that guy back at LaSalle 3 hours away.
Nice job.
Yeah, at this point, it felt like Kevin was just untouchable.
That was a big one right there. I knew that was their 6-hitter, and if I got him, then I'd have 7, 8, 9 to finish it out. So that was big.
I was at the point where I really didn't even care. You know, I mean, I was hoping we'd come up and score a couple runs, but at the same time, I'm saying, let's just get that bottom half of the 7th inning over with, you know, because I felt that confident in what Kevin was doing out there.
Yeah, I remember after like the first batter in the 7th inning, PJ was in left field, like jumping around, like celebrating. Basically, I was like, dude, you might have to catch something, like just 2 more outs here.
No, I knew Kev was setting them down.
Yeah, like we all were just like, this game's over. Like we already won, but PJ was having a ball in left field.
Giving me heart palpitations.
They did just show a shot of Dom Cucci warming up in the pen for Coach Parisi and I guess for the rest of the team as well. Was that just insurance at that point? I mean, you said that Kevin was going strong, but you know, sent Dom down there knowing that he has to warm up at a time when you guys are batting versus when you're in the field because he's your shortstop.
I mean, you got to have all, pardon the pun, you got to have all bases covered here. And, I mean, Kevin's throwing well. It's Dom, you know, go down, get loose, and I hope I don't have to use you. Best case scenario, we don't have to use you. The last thing I want is, you know, Kevin's fastball to get flat. Maybe he tires out. Something happens where I got to get him out of there. Maybe they load the bases. We got to get him out of there. So, you know, Dom has to be ready. I mean, I didn't think we would need him, but you know, you got to be prepared.
Dom, have you done that before? I mean, I'm sure you have, right? Coming in relief in a game where you're already playing shortstop, warming up during your at-bat half of the inning, knowing that if something does change in the bottom half when you're in the field, that you have no time to warm up except for being on the mound.
Yeah, you're pretty loose from playing the field. You know, you're moving around, trying to stay loose during the game and stay in rhythm with Kev while he's throwing. But I remember I did it. I closed the 7th inning in the semis against Horsham. Kev threw a great game. As we mentioned earlier, it was just a lot of hard fought at bats from guys, and I got hit with the line drive in the Lower Dolphin game. I only ended up going 3 innings. So I didn't have as many innings under my belt, and I had a little more rest. So we went there for Horsham. But honestly, warming up, as Coach said, you got to have all the bases covered. I knew I wasn't going in. Kev was absolutely cruising, and maybe like a little premature, like VJ was. No one was hitting him, and I knew we won already.
Dom, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Dom was always the kind of guy who was always just like a pure gamer, so he's kind of just like ready for anything. So he's not really a big thinker, just kind of just like, oh yeah, you need me to warm up, like I'll be ready in case, and not really think twice about it.
Yeah, and it was with the dynamic of the team, being senior heavy, I definitely put a little bit of unneeded pressure on myself, not trying to let you guys down, being the younger guy. And you guys did a good job, keep me in pace. Notice I can't count the number of hours that we used to go to ASA and hit baseballs and take ground balls. So, just like Coach said before, you don't really want to overthink it and just go out there and play and trust that you're ready.
Oh, there it is. Marcus was Nafi on it.
Baseball championship. Council Rock South will send up batters 7, 8, and 9 on the day. They are 1 for 6 with a double and an RBI sacrifice fly. This is Kane Price. Had a pretty good rip at that. Kane is 0 for 1. He has the only RBI in the ball game on a sac fly to right field.
Said he was looking for his first home run of the year.
He'll punch it out into left field.
Yo, Peach. Yo, Peach.
Coach Parisi always tells us outfielders' first step's got to be in.
If somebody's watching this and they take you seriously, Pete.
Maybe that was someone else who told me that.
Just cruising right now.
He just kept getting back in the box right away.
Yeah.
He was just taking all right, I'm gonna strike out here.
I remember our fans, which were over our dugout on the third base line, it was a stand. Everybody was standing, screaming, clapping. It just felt like the momentum was just too big on our side for them to stop it.
And you know how that can detract from a team if you're on that other side.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what happened, against Newman when we were up by 10. The helpless feeling, you can't stop it.
Yeah, and there's no play clock to save you either.
No.
Bang.
Yeah, there it is.
Being on the bottom of those piles is scary.
Kev's getting killed down there.
Oh my! I couldn't breathe for a couple of minutes. You got to worry about a cleat in the face.
Yeah, the boys were fired up.
Take our audience through the moment, guys. What's it like?
Hard to describe.
Yeah, something we worked for the whole season. Obviously it was one of our goals to be here, and just for it to finally happen. The playoff run felt like it was how many games did we play in the playoffs? 8 to 10 games. That felt like a long, long time. So,
Yeah, we weren't even in school at this point, so we were just like kind of going to practice in the middle of the day. Like it was just kind of like we were almost like living that like professional or like college like type of where like baseball was the only thing that we had really. That's all we had. Like that was our main focus. So it was like definitely one of the more rewarding feelings. I think it was just like this was a long time coming, especially like I feel like losing that Catholic League championship game like made this like so much sweeter. Like remembering how it felt to like watch Newman celebrate and stuff like that. Like it was this like completed it.
Couldn't have this season end without.
Go ahead, Pete.
I was just gonna say we couldn't have this season end without something to take home with us.
Yeah, and I think we've all been on teams with guys that we like and, guys that we're happy to play with. But I feel like this team, like we really all were just best friends, spending our time at practice together, our time at games together, but then all our free time together and waking up early and training together on our own. So I think that made it even sweeter knowing like we liked each other so much and we had put in so much work to make it happen.
And I think even though we won the District 12 title, I think it still felt like this team that was so talented had never really won anything up until this point. I mean, our junior year was obviously heartbreaking when we thought we had Newman. We were on track to go to the PCL final, and then obviously losing to Newman in extras in the PCL final this year. I think we felt like we finally sort of got our money's worth here. We finally won that championship we knew we were capable of.
Yep, 100%.
And this is one of the coolest moments for me. Coach putting the medal on everybody and like saying his, little piece to everybody like that. This was one of the most special moments of it for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny you say that, Mike, because like my reaction to the whole championship is I sat in the dugout, sat on the bench, and I watched. And I watched you guys. And as a coach, to me, that was the most important thing, to see how you guys were caught up in the moment and how that memory was for you guys. And putting that medal around your neck and, saying something to you about how much I appreciate it and what a great job you did. From a coaching standpoint, that's the most rewarding thing. The medal's not that important to me. The trophy's not, but what you guys experienced and being a part of that and being able to sit back, watch you guys enjoy the moment is probably the most rewarding thing for me as a coach.
And for us seniors, this was kind of our last LaSalle experience, right?
Yep.
We had graduated, we were done with school, and we were already on to the next thing. And so for this to cap off such a good 4 years for us was crazy.
Now, I don't think I've ever asked you guys this question before, but the rumors are out there that some of you guys, did not take your uniforms off all weekend down the shore and wore your gold medals. Is that accurate?
This is true.
It's accurate.
It's true.
Yeah, but I was just wondering, again, that speaks volumes of your pride that you have in your team, yourselves, and your accomplishments. That's pretty cool, also.
Yeah, all of Ocean City knew that we were proud.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The whole state of New Jersey was aware of our success.
Pine.
I love that kid.
Great guy.
I do too, but I still worry about him.
Oh, Shawnee.
There were some characters on that team, on your team. Actually, there were a lot.
Yep.
So I guess I'm just thinking about things here. Hopefully, you guys will be up for, nomination for the LaSalle Hall of Athletics in 2022. You got to be out 10 years. So hopefully that would, that will come to fruition, and we can get together then and celebrate, 10 years, since
Crazy.
it happened. Doesn't seem that long ago, does it?
Coach Parisi, do you know who the athletic director is at LaSalle? Someone that could put in a good word for these guys?
Yeah, and I know a couple people on the committee, but again, the way it works is that someone outside of the committee has to nominate the team. There are nominations online, so I'm sure somebody will do that, and then we'll see if the committee thinks that this team is worthy enough to do it right away. Now, thinking about the team, it's the first LaSalle baseball team to win a state championship, and it happens to be the first Philadelphia Catholic League team to win a state championship and the first District 12 team to win a state championship. So there's a lot of firsts that can't be taken away from these guys.
We also had a really involved group of parents, and I think it got cut off there, but we spent a good 5 or 10 minutes just celebrating having the trophy with the parents and our adult supporters, because we really wouldn't have done it without pasta parties at Dom's house, all that stuff.
And no question about that. The group of parents, all your parents were very, very supportive to the program. Not just that year, for, all 4 years that they were at LaSalle, and there's no question about their support and their efforts from the time you guys were freshmen, driving you here and, driving you back from practice and doing all the other things, all the extra money they put out for you to get the hitting instructions and to play for, your AU teams and all that other stuff. It's a tribute to them. They're almost as big a part of the state championship as you guys were.
All right, guys. Well, that ends the game. Certainly don't want to log off until we sort of get everybody's thoughts on the table here. I know we've had an hour and a half to talk, but is there anything that you guys want to share with each other that the LaSalle community should be aware of before we bid everybody adieu here?
I will say that this group was one of the more challenging groups that I had to coach, during my 27 years as a head coach, and also
I'll second that.
And also one of the most fun groups. They may not have seen me half the time, and Oak could probably attest to this, where I had to yell and scream at them to get their attention, and I would just turn around and laugh at what they did. So they always kept themselves loose, and they kept the coaching staff loose also. So I really appreciate what they did, and they have like I said, they have a legacy for LaSalle baseball that is unparalleled. The first team to win a state championship.
Yeah, Coach, and we had fun, and I think we both taught each other things throughout the process. You know what I mean? So I know for me personally, I carry a lot of the memories and the lessons that I learned during my time with LaSalle baseball through my college career, and then now as a professional, and hopefully someday with a family and things like that. So I just want to say how appreciative I am to you and to the whole coaching staff, and obviously all my teammates and everything. They're some of my best memories.
Great. Thank you, Michael.
One of the things I'd share with you guys, having been a part of the 2018 and 2019 teams, was a lot of the parents, especially in 2018, thought that by winning the Catholic League, you would just roll through the state tournament. And that team came up short in the semifinals. And I remember telling a few of the parents before, having gone through it in 2012 and then again in 14, it's very, very difficult. And a lot of parents would ask me, even players, how did you guys match up against some of the other teams? And I would constantly say, there's no question you guys were clearly better than the teams that came after you guys, with the exception of 2014. But a lot of the 2018 group felt that they would have matched up. And I said, no, I think this team was deeper. And the fact that they didn't get it done and they did come up short just kind of clarifies, my point that you guys were clearly better, and how difficult it is to win a state championship, because you guys set the bar. You guys raised the bar. And a lot of people knew what you guys did that came after the fact. And even at the banquets in 2018 and 19, I would get questions about what were you guys like? What was it like day in and day out? What was the attitude? And I would constantly tell people that, well, these guys showed up every day expecting to win. And unlike the teams that came after you guys, there was a lot of swag, and a confidence that you can't coach that. And that was fun to be a part of it, because going through it later with other teams and coming up short, and I'll leave 2014 out of it because they did get it done, made me appreciate what I went through in 2012 and realize, wow, what a special group that was. And, I can't believe it's been 8 years. So keep that in mind. You guys will look back on this, what you guys did, as a tremendous thing.
One other thing I'll add to that is what you guys did. And when you look at the underclassmen, in particular, the sophomores that were on that team, John, Dom, Max, not Max, what am I saying? John, Dom,
Brad and Nick.
Brad and Nick, you guys, what you took away from 2012, you guys did a great job of filtering through 2014. And I don't know that we win in 2014 if it wasn't for the experience you guys had in 2012. So the 12 guys, you guys had a piece of the 2014 state championship also.
Yeah, I was going to say the exact same thing, because 2014 is kind of crazy how much it paralleled our run in 2012, because we had our hearts broke by Newman in the PCL, and then kind of had a second life with the States. And then if you go game by game, I mean, it was almost an exact copy of 2012 and 2014, but it was sort of like a blueprint of this is how you get it done. This is how you beat these overrated public league teams. And it was just if we hadn't done it 2 years earlier, it would have been a lot harder in 2014.
Right.
Well, guys, an absolute pleasure to share the airways with you for 2+ hours here. I can tell you that the LaSalle community is going to appreciate it and get a lot of entertainment out of this as well. But like I started with, first and foremost, I hope this had some value for you guys, an opportunity to get together as a team 8 years later and re-experience this together. So I appreciate your openness to it, and I think you guys will be happy with the final product.
Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
Absolutely. Thanks.
Thanks, Bob.
All right. So everybody have a great evening. Stay safe in these unprecedented times. And until next time, to the LaSalle community, good night, and we'll talk to everybody soon.